So, friends, hold on to your seat tonight. I'm going to jump right in. I've had the privilege and the honor of hosting our guest who's on again tonight. We hosted Kute last month. He came back by popular demand, and I am so honored that this is going to be my final hosting conversation here on the Circles Masterclass. And for it to be Kute, I am extremely blessed and honored. Now, those of you that don't know Kute, he's a transformational teacher, speaker, visionary, guide, and national best-selling author of two phenomenal books. One is You Are the One, and the second one is The Magic of Surrender. What I love, Kute, is when I introduced you before, I only knew you from what I read. We didn't have the moment together. But I just want you to know, I've been following your story. I've been following your post. I'm on your email list. I bought both of your books. I devoured You Are the One. I'm halfway through The Magic of Surrender. And friends, by the way, I'm going to be dropping in the chat where you can pick up Kute's book. You Are the One is like $10. If you don't have that, borrow it from your kids, friends. Go get this book and put it on your desk and your shelf. It will transform your life. But without further ado, Kute Blackson, thank you for being our guest for the second time here on Circles. And friends, can you show some love for our guest tonight, Kute Blackson?
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me back. It's great to be here.
Yeah, you're very welcome. For our friends tonight that maybe didn't get a chance to hear you the last time, Kute, I wonder if you could give us a high-level, quick backstory, fill the people in on kind of what brought you to your journey now, and then we'll kind of springboard from there, if that's okay.
Wow, I'll do my best to not take 5 hours and share my story.
Yeah.
But just in a nutshell, look, I was born in Ghana, West Africa, and my father's from Ghana. My mother's Japanese. I grew up in London. I live in the US. And so I'm from everywhere and nowhere. And as a young boy, I really never felt like and I think many of you can relate. If you can relate, just let me know. But I never felt like I fit in anywhere. I always felt like I was an outsider. And as a young kid, that really drove me. I didn't feel like I was from Africa. I didn't feel like I was from Japan. I didn't feel like I was from London, UK. I didn't feel like I was British. And so that drove me as a young boy to a deep sense of seeking the question of who am I and why am I and where do I come from and where is home and where do I exist and where do I belong? And I think that's what drove me to ask the question, who am I? And that's what you could say took me down a spiritual path. And as a young boy, some would say my childhood was a bit unusual. I thought my childhood was normal. I thought it was like everybody. But in that, as a young boy, my first memories, I remember being around age 6, age 7, lost in the crowd in Ghana, West Africa. And I saw this crippled woman crawling on the floor. She picks up the sand, the gravel that this man walked on and wipes it on her face and stands up. You could call that a miracle. I grew up around miracles as a young boy. The same man whose gravel she picked up would look at a woman in a wheelchair and say, hey, why are you in this wheelchair? Stand up. And he'd look at someone who'd come in with crutches and say, hey, throw your crutches away. And people would often ask me, come on, Kute, was this stuff real? Was it a scam? Did it really happen? The thing is, I grew up seeing it like right in front of me. I grew up seeing it up close and personal because this man was my father. He was considered a miracle man of Africa, a healer in his own right, a spiritual teacher, a minister, had 300 churches in Ghana, West Africa, a huge church in London, 4,000 to 5,000 people in London. And so he was a very mystical man, a very spiritual man, went to India in the 60s, had an enlightenment experience, but kept his churches. And my mother was Buddhist. So my childhood was a bit eclectic. And so you could say where it all began was around age 8. I began speaking in my father's audiences. Age 14, I was ordained as a minister, and I was literally given the mandate to take over my father's spiritual organization. And at that point, I knew in my heart that this was not my path. But I think like many of us, I allowed fear to hijack me. I allowed fear to hold back my voice. I allowed fear to prevent me from really speaking my truth. My fear was if I dared to be myself, if I dared to express my truth, if I dared to tell the truth about what I wanted with my life, then I would be outcast. I'd be alone. I'd lose my father's love. And so for 4 years, I tried to fit myself into becoming who I thought I needed to be. in order to get love and validation and approval, like so many of us do, don't we? We contort ourselves to become who we think we need to be loved, to be validated, to be approved by parents, by society, by those around us, to fit ourselves to be normal. We compare ourselves with those around us, thinking if we're more like them and we're more like Susie, we're more like our sister, we're more like the person down the street, then we'll be accepted. And as a result, we end up betraying our soul, betraying ourselves. And so for 4 years, with much turmoil, I did that. But when I turned 18 was a really pivotal moment, was when I felt my soul calling me to come to America, to come to Los Angeles, because as a young boy, from 8 to 18, I read 800 books in self-help and spirituality, because I'd sneak into my father's office and he had 1,000 books on his bookshelf. And I pretty much read them all. And everyone from Osho and Krishnamurti to Jim Rohn and Louise Hay and Marianne Williamson and Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. And so for me, this was my passion. Personal growth, self-help, spirituality was my life. It was my passion. I would sneak into my father's church, and I would give seminars, to the empty chairs in the pitch black in the middle of the night, imagining I was inspiring people from around the world. So I felt a calling my whole life. I just didn't know what that would look like. And many of you listening, you may feel a calling. Maybe you're living that purpose and that calling. Maybe you've lost touch with that calling. Maybe you had a calling when you were 5, 6 years old, that there was a dream, a vision that was put in your heart. And perhaps life and heartbreak and challenges of life have caused you to give up on that dream. But I believe that if you have a dream, if you have a vision, if you have a sense of calling with your life in terms of the gift that you're here to give and what you're here to do, we think that we choose that dream and that vision. But I really believe that that dream and that vision has chosen you because you're the perfect person to fulfill that dream, to fulfill that vision. And everything that you have gone through, every pain, every heartbreak, every divorce, every trauma, every betrayal, every success, every failure, everything that you've gone through is part of the ingredients, is part of the training for your soul's evolution, to prepare you to be the one to develop the mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological muscle, to develop the soul force to be the person that is capable of fulfilling that dream and vision. And so I believe our dreams chose us. And so for me, you could say my dream chose me. But when I was 18, I felt a calling in my soul. Sometimes what your soul guides you to do, what your soul guides you to do may not always be convenient. What your soul guides you to do may not always make sense to your logic or your mind. What your soul guides you to do may not always be comfortable. And I think in so many ways, many of us, we sometimes we hear the nudging of our soul and we don't listen because it doesn't make sense. Your soul's guidance, your soul's intuition arises from a deeper dimension of your being. That is that unconditioned dimension of your being, beyond the mind, beyond the personality, beyond the ego. So often what your soul guides you to do, what I found, it won't make sense to your logic. It won't fit into your ego's framework. It's not limited to your life experience. And so I really have found through my life and my lived experience that when you listen to your soul, and maybe some of you are feeling something in your soul nudging you. Maybe you're feeling something in your soul whispering. Maybe you're feeling something in your soul poking. Maybe you're feeling a certain nudging to do something, to express something, to move in a certain direction, to let go of something, and you've been afraid to fully surrender and listen to that nudging of your soul. But I promise you this, not from read information and someone else's experience, but I can promise you this from my own lived experience of having gone through many challenges. When you listen to your soul, you will always be guided. You will always end up in the right place at the right time with the right people doing the right thing, even though the route that you take may not be the one that you most expect. And so, in a nutshell, my soul was guiding me to come to America, which really meant leaving everything behind, renouncing my father's church, renouncing the life that I knew, renouncing who I've been, renouncing the life I thought I was going to have, which was terrifying, which was scary. Sometimes people think that when you find your purpose in life, everything is easy. The unicorns come out, the violins play. But I think sometimes when you find your true purpose in life, folks, that's when the real tests, that's when the real challenges begin. And many times when we follow our purpose and we're faced with the challenges of life, we sometimes mistakenly think that, wait, what's wrong? Am I on the wrong path? And we run back and we don't follow through because we're facing all these challenges. But I believe those challenges are actually a sign that you are on the right path, that you are actually following your correct aligned purpose. Those challenges are soul tests that you need to go through in order to grow through so that you can evolve and develop the soul force that will prepare you to be the person that is capable of fulfilling your true purpose in life. And so for me, I knew that I had to have that conversation. And at 18, I had a difficult conversation with my father. My father and I, we didn't speak for 2 years. And long story short, I ended up winning a green card. Let me repeat, winning a green card in the green card lottery that enabled me to come to the US, 2 suitcases, $800 in my pocket, just following a dream. And I came and I found many of the teachers and mentors and authors, some of whom you may have read about, and learned from some of them and studied with some of them. And then years later, went on my own way and ended up. The real shift happened for me when I ended up going to India. And I put everything in storage. And I was determined to not come back until I found my true purpose in life. And ended up in India for 4 months. And it was in India that I had some experiences that, let's say, cracked me open to a deeper sense of my reality and purpose in life. And that's when I came back 20 years ago to with a real sense that I wanted to help people. And I began, honestly, I began coaching people before coaching was popular and before social media was popular. And I began simply helping people one-on-one out of a sheer sincere desire to make a difference. I had no idea what I was doing, but one person showed up and I began helping them and talking to them. Another person showed up, and in the process of life guided me. Life revealed itself to me, and I was just following the clues. And soon I created a whole, let's say, way of working with people that I called uncoaching, my own methodology, and people's lives started transforming and people started to come from around the world to work with me. And it just honestly snowballed from one person to 5 to 10 to small groups to large groups to larger groups to 2 best-selling books. And that's the very, very condensed version of my journey, Jeff.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Friends, if you've just joined us, we are listening to Kute Blackson. Just hold on to your seat. That's all I got to say. Grab a pen and a piece of paper. You're going to want to make some notes. Kute, because I've had the chance to just devour your book, one of the things that fascinates me is your story with the way you grew up, seeing and witnessing this spiritual, this supernatural power at work. Yet there was something in you that said, yes, maybe the universe is going, Kute, I'm going to use you, but not like that. You allude in your writing that you felt a different channel, a different funnel. I don't know if anybody's listening to us either here tonight or maybe listening to us after on the podcast, maybe are wrestling between reconciling what they grew up with in their spirituality, thinking that was going to be their path, but feel pulled to do something different. Can you help us? Help those that may be conflicted between the way they grew up spiritually, but believing they're supposed to do this with that. Does that make sense?
Can you elaborate? Because I could go in many directions with that. So,
yeah.
so
So I know for you saw this power of the universe working through your father, and it's touching you, it's pulling you, it's speaking to you. Kute, I've got this for you. But you knew that it wasn't in that avenue, it wasn't in that venue.
Yes.
How were you able to reconcile, this is what I should do because it's going to be passed to me, this mantle, I need to follow in my footsteps?
It really wasn't this is what I should do. It was just, there was a nudging in my soul that was pulling me in a different direction. And that nudging in my soul was it just got stronger and stronger. And honestly, it kind of got to the point where I felt like I did not have a choice. I felt it was bigger than me. It was pulling me. And I think many of us, we feel that nudging. We do. We've all felt that calling. Like, here's the thing. Sometimes that nudging will be loud. Sometimes that nudging will be a voice. Sometimes that nudging will be a sensation. If we're paying attention, sometimes that nudging will be just a sensation, a subtle feeling in the body, like something's off, go in this direction. But we're often not listening. And so for me, there was a gentle nudging that felt like something was off. Something was not quite fitting. Something was not quite aligned. And so When I turned 18, I looked into my future, and I think life is a series of choices. When we feel the nudging, follow the nudging. We all have a sense, a feeling, something. How many times have you, maybe if we look back on our past, you met somebody and something said, something's off, red flags, and you didn't pay attention, and you ended up in a relationship with them 3 years later, married, and you knew. And so there's a part of us that knows everything, because at the deepest level, we are connected to everything. We know deep down there is a knowing, but we often don't listen to that knowing. And so for me, that nudging just grew stronger and stronger and stronger, and it was a pull. And I had a choice. You could say I didn't have a choice, but there was a moment of a choice where I looked into my future and I realized I could follow the expected path. What society expects, what religion expects, what parents expect, what friends expect, what education system expects, what media expects, and in this case for me, what my father expects. I could follow the expected path, and I realized I could be successful. I take over my father's organization, take it to the next level, everybody's happy. But I saw that as I projected into the future, and I looked into the future, age 20, age 30, age 40, age 50, age 60, age 70, I saw that if I didn't have myself, if I didn't have my integrity, if I didn't have my truth, if I didn't have my authenticity, if I didn't have my soul, what kind of success is that? That you cannot be truly fulfilled and happy being someone that you're not, that you cannot be truly fulfilled and happy living someone else's life. And I saw that if I lied to myself to get my father's or anyone's love and validation, I would have to lie to myself for the rest of my life. And so for me, it wasn't really a choice to listen to my soul. And I really believe that when you listen to your soul has an intelligence. Your mind doesn't know, but your soul knows. And when you listen to your soul doesn't care about your comfort. Your soul doesn't care about your convenience. Your soul cares about your evolution. And when I have found that when you don't follow your soul, you don't evolve. When you don't follow your soul, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you stop flowing. Life stops flowing. And when you don't follow your soul, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, because you're no longer evolving on a spiritual level, you kind of block the evolution, you block the flow of life, you block your graduation to the next level of manifestation and relationships in your life, because I believe that we are all souls, and we're all souls, and we incarnate in order to grow, to learn, to experience, to evolve, to learn lessons. Life is kind of a school. Life is kind of a university. Life is kind of a university and a classroom for our soul's evolution. Everyone is our teacher. Every moment is a learning opportunity. And the purpose of part of our incarnation is evolution. And I think so long as we're growing and evolving, to me, the real key to unlocking the next level of our life is learning the lessons. And all lessons are simply repeated over and over and over again until learned. And so I think when we deny our souls, we end up shortchanging ourselves. When we don't listen to our souls, we block our flow. And I've just found over and over again, when you follow what's true, when you follow what's real, when you follow that deep inner guidance beyond the mind, you will always be guided in the right direction. And you don't have to know where you're going. Here is a myth. You read in many books, you got to know where you're going. You got to know what you want. You got to know where you're going. The truth is, many times what we think we want is just what we think we want based on who we think we are. And how many of us, if we're honest enough, and I'll put my hand up first, you've had an experience where you manifested what you thought you wanted, and then you looked around only to realize, wait a second, is this it? This is not what I really wanted. And so often our goals and dreams and what we think our desires are can be projections of our conditioning, projections of our ego, projections of unmet needs from childhood. So what we think we know what we want, but do we really? Sometimes what we think we want is limited because we are, shall we say, identified unknowingly with the ego. And the ego is limited, it's conditioned. And so truly, you don't really have to know where you're going in order to get to exactly where you need to be. But if you follow your soul has an intelligence, your soul is connected to all that is. There's no separation. And so if you follow your soul, there's an intelligence, there's a knowing, there's a wisdom. And when you follow your soul, you're being guided. And so I would invite everyone, follow your soul without compromise. One thing that stops us, or a couple of things I would say that stops us from following our true knowing, soul's guidance without compromise, is we're constantly analyzing, and this need to understand and make sense of everything.
Yeah.
This is the ego. The ego needs to try to make sense of everything, analyze everything, understand everything. But the guidance of your soul is beyond your ego, is beyond your mind, because it's arising from a deeper place than your mind.
Yeah.
If your soul's guidance makes complete and total sense all the time to your mind, probably it's not your soul's guidance, because often your soul's guidance is bigger than your mind's capacity to understand. Your soul's guidance often won't make sense, because it will force you to expand your identity, force you to expand your current perception and yourself, and grow and go on a journey. And so the need to understand and make sense of it. Wait, does this make sense? And understand how. And now we start overanalyzing. This is the ego strategy to try to control. Because the ego, our perceived sense of who and what we believe ourselves to be, mistakenly believes if I can understand everything and make sense of everything, then I can know everything, and then I will be safe. And the ego's job, you see, is to protect you from getting hurt. And the ego's job is to try to keep you safe, to make sure that what happened when you were 5, and what happened when you were 8, and what happened when you were 15, and what happened in that heartbreaking relationship doesn't happen again. And so the ego is well intended in its need to understand, because if I can understand, then I can control, and then I can mitigate risk. But we don't realize that in doing so, we block the flow. We disconnect from our soul's guidance and intelligence, rather than just listening and trusting and taking a step. And so you don't have to know where you're going to get to exactly where you need to be. There is an intelligence inside of you. And as I always say, that next level, and maybe folks, as you're listening in, you're in a place of your life. Who here can relate that maybe you're in a place of your life where the life that you're living is now too small for what your soul is seeking to become. The life that you have currently lived, maybe you're successful, maybe it's amazing, but deep down you have a feeling, if you're honest, let me know, it's too small for what your soul is seeking to become. That on some level you have outgrown the current structure of how your life is set up. This can be a scary point for us, because we think, oh shit, oh now what? Oh my God, everything I know, it's time to let go. But yes, even a caterpillar must be willing to let go of its caterpillarness, to go into the cocoon, to go into the unknown, to go into the darkness, so that it can go into the cocoon and transform into the incredible butterfly that it's meant to be. And I believe we're all meant to fly. But many of us, we're busy holding on to being a caterpillar. We're busy holding on to the life that we know. We're busy holding on to who we were. We're busy holding on to what we know, because it's simply safer there. The next level of your life, the next level of your purpose, the next level of your calling, the next level of your vision and your mission in this lifetime will require the next level of you, which will require that you let go of who you've been and what you know, and everything and everyone that is no longer a vibrational match. Yet what we tend to do is hold on to who we were, hold on to what we know, out of self-comfort, self-preservation, familiarity, not realizing that holding on is blocking your blessing. Holding on is blocking the flow. Holding on is blocking the next level of manifestation. And holding on is, shall we say, your affirmation of your lack of trust in the universe. And that's what you are reinforcing and manifesting. And so I think we have to be willing to let go. We have to be willing to surrender. We have to be willing to release that which is no longer aligned so that we can make space for the new possibility, the new blessings, the new magic, the new person, the new soulmate, the new relationship, the new career. You can't manifest the new being the old. So a question I would ask anyone and all of you listening in today is, what is it time to let go of? You have an inkling. You have a knowing. You know, I know, we know, deep down we know. What is it time for you to let go of? What have you outgrown? What is no longer serving you? What relationships are no longer a vibrational match? Holding on to them is keeping you stuck. And sometimes the universe is seeking to bless you. Sometimes the universe is seeking to pour so much grace and so much magic and so much blessing into your life, but actually, energetically, there is no room because our heart, our life is cluttered with the old. So if you want to activate miracles and that next level of purpose, let go. Surrender it, release it, make space to catch the new vision, make space for more grace, make space for more amazing connections and people to show up. Make space. You make space, that's when the universe will fill that space with new guidance, new creative ideas, new creative expression. Sometimes we get caught into a trap. Let's call it a trap of success. What do I mean by trap of success? Maybe you've been there. Let me know if you have. Where you've done something and it works. You succeed. People give you a pat on the back. People reinforce you. You do something, you succeed. You keep doing it. You do something, you succeed. You keep doing it and you keep doing more of it. But maybe you've gotten to the point where it's dissatisfying, where you no longer feel alive, where you kind of feel like you've outgrown the thing that you've done. But it's all you know how to do. It's how you know how to make money. It's how you've gotten validation and success in the world. And now we're trapped. And so we keep doing more of what we know because it works, but it's no longer working. We're no longer evolving. We no longer feel alive. We're no longer growing. And so another question I would ask is, what is it that you're currently doing that is working? Let me repeat. What is it that you're currently doing that is working? But doing more of it is inhibiting the next level of your life. If you are ready to activate more blessings and more manifestation and more miracles in your life, boldly start letting go. Boldly start releasing. Boldly start letting go. And one step to that, or one thing that keeps us stuck, are all the ways that we lie to ourselves. As human beings, we lie to ourselves because of some reasons I shared, because we're stuck in our egos. The ego is really that perceived sense of self that we mistakenly believe ourselves to be, that we have become so identified with, that is made up. It's a construct of our belief systems, belief structures, and memories and emotions from the past that we hold on to for a sense of identity. And the ego doesn't want to change. Can anyone relate? The ego doesn't want to change. The ego wants me to change, you to change, your spouse to change, the president to change, your friend to change, your mom to change. Ego doesn't want to change. So the ego holds on for dear life. It's well intended, but it's limited. It's well intended. So what's one step you can take? Start asking these questions. What's another step that you can take? Is the willingness to start telling the truth to yourself. There is no next level without truth. There is no transformation without truth. There is no authentic living of your purpose without truth. So ask yourself, here's a few more questions, folks. Hope you like questions, because I ask a lot of them. Ask yourself the question, what lies am I telling myself? What lies am I telling myself? What am I pretending to not know? And what is it costing me? What lies am I we stay in relationships, don't we? Maybe you're in one now. And deep down in your heart, if you're honest, you know it is not aligned for you. You're no longer in love. That it's not right. You know it, but you're afraid. Maybe you're working a job that you hate. Maybe you've been betraying yourself with someone to get love, validation, and approval, and it's painful. See, when we lie to ourselves, it's meant to be painful. The pain is simply a signal that we're not in alignment. The pain is a signal that we're not telling the truth. The pain is a signal that we're not honoring our souls. If you're feeling pain, the pain is simply giving you feedback. It's some part of you, your unconscious, is trying to communicate to you. So ask yourself, what is the message of this pain? What we tend to do in our culture is push it down, suppress it, disconnect, deny it, drink it away, smoke it away, sex it away, social media away, work it away, meditate away, travel it away, whatever, to just not feel the pain. But the pain is feedback. And the more we can listen to our souls and come into alignment, the freer we feel. And so I would just say this: take all the pressure off of yourself of having to take any action. What do I mean by that? Sometimes the fear of the consequence of acknowledging the truth that we feel makes us afraid. And so the self-protective ego mechanism kicks in, and we start playing a game of, I'm confused and I don't really know what my purpose is, when deep down we know what our purpose is. We have an inkling, we have a sense. And so if we can just take the pressure off of ourselves from having to take action and just simply begin by acknowledging the truth. I hate my job. No judgment. I don't have to leave it. I hate my job. Just acknowledge it. It's not right for me. I'm no longer in love with this person. I have an alcohol problem. I have a certain addiction. Just acknowledge the truth. You can't change and shift reality and move into that next level of your purpose living a lie. And so, to me, the truth is the foundation of an authentic life. And the truth is a foundation of living authentically and living your purpose authentically, because it's hard to truly share your gifts with the world as a coach, as a teacher, as a healer, as a visionary, as a business person, as a leader. It's hard to truly, with integrity, share your gifts with the world if you're not living in alignment and integrity with yourself, because deep down, we won't trust ourselves when we know we aren't being honest with ourselves, even if no one else knows. And so the truth, for me, the truth will set you free. Truth is real spiritual practice. Truth is real meditation. Truth is real prayer. Truth is real yoga. And I think when we start with the truth, that's what sets us free. And so for me, I had to follow my truth, because I realized if I don't have my truth, I don't have myself. And if I don't have myself, I have nothing. And if I don't have myself and I have nothing, what do I have to give the world? What do I have to give the world in terms of my purpose? How do I live my purpose if I'm not in integrity with myself? Because I have nothing to give the world, because I have nothing to give myself, and I don't have myself. And when I realized that, it was painful. And it was just acknowledging that pain and the reality of it that made me decide, I have to follow what I feel. I have to follow my heart and my soul and trust. And that's what gave me the courage to follow my soul and follow my truth, even if it wasn't the expected path or the accepted or norm in terms of belief system.
Wow. Friends, are you enjoying the conversation? I know I am. Kute, there's so many different directions we could take this conversation. We're speaking to people tonight. We don't know whether they know their purpose. They're still trying to figure that out.
Let's talk.
I'd love for you to talk to me a little bit about someone who knew their purpose. Yes. They started their purpose. They ran head on into it and actually wrapped their arms around it and was their purpose.
Yeah.
But then it fell apart.
Yeah.
And because they honored their purpose, now they think and it didn't work out the way they thought it would. Now they think they don't work anymore. So they're living in the shadows. They're living in the fear because they don't know that they work now, because they tried it and it didn't work.
Yes, I want to address all of that, and I want to address how to tap into the deeper level of your purpose, if that would be cool.
Yes.
And so here's what I would say. Because when we talk about the truth, one thing I want to address is because some people might be thinking, but Kute, if I tell myself I hate my job, but what does that mean? I just leave? No, remember I said you don't have to take action now, but to truly shift and have a breakthrough and live your purpose, you do have to tell the truth and acknowledge, yes, I hate my job. This is not aligned. That doesn't mean you don't work your job. That doesn't, because yes, you have bills to pay, you have responsibilities, you have children that you have responsibility to. So work your job whilst acknowledging this is not my purpose. This is not what I was put on the planet to do. I'm not going to pretend that it's my purpose and just get lost into it. I will acknowledge the truth that this is not my purpose. I hate it. I'm going to allow those feelings to come out so that I don't get complacent in my job. Then I will do my best to show up in total excellence and gratitude and appreciation whilst doing this job. And because I'm acknowledging the truth that I hate my job and the job is not really my true authentic purpose, I will work diligently every day. I will work diligently every day to work on my vision, to work on what I love, to work on my purpose. So that might mean every day I will take 15 minutes if that's all I have. I will take 30 minutes if that's all I have. I will take 1 hour if that's what I have. I will take weekends if that's all I have, where I'll be working on not where I am, but where I want to go. Not where I am, but the business I want to create. Because many times when I ask people who say, "Could I hate my job?" And folks, I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people in my events and seminars and one-on-one, hundreds of thousands. And when I ask certain people, they say, "I hate my job," I ask them, "What did you do today towards where you want to go?" "Nothing." "What do you mean?" I said, if you hate your job that much, make it a non-negotiable. Use the frustration and use that emotion, use that feeling to push you, to motivate you, to take the actions you need each and every day to create in the direction of what you want. And that might mean each day you're going to work 1 hour on writing that book. Each day you're going to take 50 minutes on writing that business plan. Each day you're going to take 20, 30 minutes, if that's all you have, before you go to sleep. I'm working on that business. I'm working on that project, because even if it might seem like a small thing, by the time 3 months, 6 months, a year rolls by, if you've been working on it a little bit every day, small steps every day, you'll be in a whole different reality, and that business plan will be ready, that business will be ready, that book will be done. And so the truth doesn't mean you just leave your job and have not able to pay your bills. It means you acknowledge the truth, and now you start asking yourself, what now? And start taking the actions that are in your control. In terms of purpose, hopefully that makes sense, and I'm hoping that might clarify some things for folks. Yes. Now, in terms of purpose, Jeff, in terms of what you asked, I just want to tease out a few things about purpose, right?
Yeah.
To me, there's two dimensions of purpose. I'm going to get very practical and very human, but I want to start spiritually. I believe that ultimately the purpose of our life is this moment. The purpose of life on a spiritual level is we are souls. We incarnate into this human experience in order to grow, learn, evolve, and experience all that life has to experience. Life is a school and a university for our soul's evolution. So the purpose of life itself at that deepest spiritual level is to learn, to grow, and evolve. So long as you are growing and evolving in the classroom that is life, no matter what you are doing, so long as you're learning the lessons where you are with who you're with, and you're growing and evolving and maximizing the learning opportunities to realize more of yourself, no matter what you're doing, you're living your purpose. Because you can be working a job that you love, but be out of integrity and devolving and cheating and betraying yourself, but you're missing the purpose of life. The purpose of life is evolution. And I think in our culture today, we somehow have a limited definition of success as the attainment of a goal, the attainment of that vision and that dream. But if in the pursuit of that dream or what you think is your purpose, you lose yourself and you betray yourself, which many folks do in the pursuit of success, is that success? And so I think we need a bigger and broader definition and understanding of true success. There's the goal line and there's the soul line. And many of us were so focused from when we think about purpose from only the goal line. I attained my purpose, I expressed my purpose, I achieved that goal, when in fact, there are the lessons that you are learning along the way. And so for that person, before I go into some practical steps, for that person that might feel, but could I pursued my purpose and I went full on and it failed and it's a failure and I'm not succeeding and my book was a failure and I sold 2 copies of my book and my coaching business didn't take off and that business, hold up, you're not a failure. Because if you really understand the purpose of life, which is evolution, you see your goals and your purpose and your dream, the pursuit of it will take you in a direction. You start pursuing your purpose, it takes you in a direction. You go into action in life, you go into relationships, it takes you in a direction. It takes you on a journey. The journey that you go on, which forces you to learn lessons, which forces you to grow, which forces you to evolve, which forces you to learn, which forces you to self-reflect. That journey of growth and evolution that forces you to become more and expand more and learn more is the purpose. And no matter if you may not be where you think you should be, you may not have attained what you think you should have attained, but so long as you have grown and evolved and learned the lessons, I promise you, you will have become more and grown more and developed the mental, emotional muscle, and you are fulfilling the purpose of that vision. So you haven't failed. You haven't failed. You've succeeded. Like, what use is it to stay married to someone for 90 years and be cheating and be miserable and be angry and be resentful and be fighting all the time, clearly knowing that this is the wrong relationship for you, but you simply stay because this is what society says? Does it make it a successful relationship if you're not growing and evolving? Is that what success is? And so we have to look at success and failure from a whole different context. Am I growing? Did I learn? Because sometimes the goal that we have, the purpose that we have, is evolutionary. It will take you on a journey. And it's an evolutionary carrot that takes you on a journey of becoming. And who you become in the process, in the living and the pursuit of living your purpose, is the purpose of your purpose. Is the purpose of your purpose. And that, to me, is the foundation. And many times from that one-dimensional goal line, does that make sense, folks? And many times in that one-dimensional goal line perspective of this is what success is, but could I only reached 5 people, I only reached 1 person. But here's the thing. If you grew and evolved, and you learned the lessons, you will graduate. And as you grow and evolve, if you reach 1 person, to me, this is a success. I remember 20 some years ago when I was just beginning. I had big dreams, Jeff. I had big dreams. I wanted to, anyone here have big dreams? You want to impact millions? Anyone? Just raise your hand, give me a sign, say something. I had big dreams. And I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I was completely broke. So broke that I was begging, I was homeless, staying on friends' couches, sometimes stealing food, I'm embarrassed to say, from the supermarkets, And and I remember sitting on the park bench, dreaming of the big purpose that I wanted to impact people and millions of people and write these books. And every day I would sit on the couch and dream about the big impact I wanted to have. And I would see this old woman, elderly Jewish woman, Russian Jewish woman, walking from her apartment to the grocery store, apartment to the grocery store every day with all these bags and struggling and falling and stuff falling out of these. Every day I would see this, 9 a.m. in the morning. And I would sit there and I was praying, God, show me what my purpose is. Show me how I can impact more people. Show me the millions of people I can reach. And every day I would see this woman struggling. And one day it was as though God said to me, to stop praying and stop thinking about your purpose. Because you see that woman over there? You're praying to impact millions of people, and you won't really humbly stand up and serve this woman.
Mm.
In front of you is an opportunity. So serve her. And that's what I felt in my heart. And it hit me. And I stood up and humbly I went and helped her with the groceries. And every day for the next months, we struck up a relationship and I helped her with the groceries. And every day I just helped her with the groceries. And I realized that sometimes we want to impact 5 million, but we don't respond to the need in the moment. And so if you really want to live your purpose and unlock the next level of your purpose, respond to the need in the moment. Look around. It might be your son. It might be your child in the middle of the night crying. It might be a neighbor. It might be sending a text to someone. It might be taking someone to the airport. It might be just living your purpose moment to moment by responding to the need in the moment and just starting. And so what I'll say, and sometimes we think, well, does that really make a difference? See, here's the thing. By you living your heart and soul, whether it impacts millions of people or 5 people, how you live your life and who you're being as a way of being in life itself is your purpose. And when you live that, whether anybody's watching or not, you don't know who's watching. And there are people maybe watching you. There are people maybe observing you that are inspired and impacted by your purpose. When I first started making videos 15, 16 years ago, and I didn't think anybody was watching these videos, Jeff, I didn't think anybody was watching my content, wondering, am I making a difference? I flew to Japan. My mother's from Japan, and I was in Japan by myself in the temple outside of Tokyo, in a small town called Kamakura. Maybe someone's been there. And I was looking at the temple. I was in the temple questioning my life. Am I making a difference? Maybe I'm a failure. And you know what happened to me? This young woman came up to me, Japanese woman, said, "Oh my God, are you Kute?" I was a bit shocked. I said, "Yes." She said, "I watch your videos." I said, "Wow." And she said, "You won't believe that I'm here right now in this temple with my mother." I said, "Wow." She said, "My mother can't speak English, but I'm going to tell you that I watched one of your videos about making peace with your parents. And as a result of watching your video of making peace with your parents, I decided to call my mother after not speaking to her for many years and forgiving her. And now we have a relationship because of you." And this was a woman who I would never have met. And so just by how you live your life and who you're being, folks, smiling, positive energy, putting your gifts out into the world, whether it reaches 5 million, 500 million, it doesn't really matter. There are people that are inspired and watching you that you will never know. There are people that will, stalk you on your social media that you will never know are watching you, and somehow they're inspired by you. Even some of your haters are kind of pissed off that you're putting yourself out there because they're reminded that maybe they're not, but it's serving them too. And so don't think that you're a failure because you haven't achieved what you think you should achieve. Have you grown? Have you evolved? And if you touch one life, truly touch one life, to me, this is a success. And so, does that make sense, folks? And so,
Yeah.
I would love to just share a couple of things, maybe before we wrap up, about finding your purpose. So if you want to really find your purpose in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to break it down to you. Number one, stop seeking your purpose. Constantly trying to seek your purpose can be the ego strategy, again, of seeking, and never really living your purpose. Purpose always something in the future rather than responding to the need in the moment. So number one, stop seeking your purpose. Number two, just go in the direction of what lights you up, of what turns you on, of what makes you most alive. Go in the direction of what makes you feel most alive, where your joy is. What would you do for free? Move in that direction. You don't have to know what your purpose is. Just take a step. You take a step, life will reveal the next step. You take another step, life reveals another step. You take another, your purpose will be revealed to you in the process of living life itself. Many of us were trying to figure out our purpose from the sidelines. But when you take the step, you go on a journey, you become more, then you're ready for the next step. Next. Ask yourself this question. What tangible skills do I have based on my experience? What specific skills do I have? Everything you've lived, everything you've gone through, you've developed skills. Maybe that job that you hated, and this is why we have to go on the journey. And sometimes it might mean doing a job you hate, because maybe that job you hated as an accountant, you needed to learn skills there. Maybe that job that you hated as a salesperson, you needed to learn skills there. And so every job has a piece of the puzzle for you. So if you're just waiting to do your big purpose, you won't go on the journey of maybe doing that job, because there's something that you need to learn. So look at, what do I love? What skills do I have? Then ask yourself the next question. What tangible, let me phrase it in a different way. What unique problems am I able to solve? What problems am I uniquely able to solve based on my gifts? So what are my gifts and what unique problems am I able to solve? Because making money is a function of adding value. And sometimes we focus on making money, but we forget that truly, when we think about purpose, focus on being of service. If you focus on being of service, and we're of service when we add value. We add value when we solve a pain, problem, or challenge. So when you can focus on what is the pain, problem, or challenge that I'm uniquely capable of solving, move in that direction. And lastly, look at the group of people in your life. Look at the group of people in your life that you feel an affinity to. Maybe you feel an affinity to the blind. Maybe you feel an affinity to the homeless. Maybe you feel an affinity to the underprivileged, teenage mothers. I believe that this will show you where your purpose might lie, the group of people that you might be here to serve. And so, last thing I'll say before we begin wrapping is, don't wait for some special date to live your purpose. Don't wait for a change of fate to live your purpose. Don't wait till you're more healed, you're more transformed, you do more therapy, till you're more perfect. That moment will never come. You just have to start where you are, with who you are, exactly as you are, and life will lead you. And as you take a step, the next step will reveal itself. And what will start off as your purpose now may not be what your purpose is in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years, because you will have evolved and your purpose is evolutionary. So my message is, folks, begin now.
Yeah. So powerful, Kute. I thank you for that. Folks, I put that in the chat, how to find your purpose. Stop seeking your purpose, which is beautiful. Go in the direction of what makes you feel most alive. Ask, what skills do I have based upon my experience? Ask, what unique problems am I able to solve based upon my gifts and skills? And look for a group of people that I believe that I have an affinity to. And lastly, do not wait. Kute, if there was one thing in your work that you've discovered holds people back the most, I know we only got a moment or two, but what is that?
I think I've
What
expressed it already, Jeff. I've expressed it already, and I can't do it justice in 1 minute. So okay. I'm going to have to jump off in a second. I have loved every single second of this conversation. It's an honor to be on with you. I'd love to let people know how they can find out more about my work before I jump off.
Absolutely. Go right ahead. It's all you.
Folks, I would honestly stay on for another hour if I could, but I literally have a conference call that I have to be on, and it's live as well. So forgive me for that, but it's been a joy to be on with you. I trust you found value. I hope that you've been inspired in some way. Couple of things I would say. I hope this is the beginning of a connection. If you're new to my work, couple of ways would love to connect. Number one, check out my book, The Magic of Surrender. Number two, I put out a lot of content, free content on Instagram. My name, Kute Blackson, Kute Blackson. You can go to my website, kuteblackson.com, and enter your name and your email to receive a free 3-part video training series on how to find your purpose. I think you'll really enjoy that. And for those of you that maybe have been super inspired and feel a calling in your life, that maybe you feel as though you've been put on the planet for a purpose bigger than yourself, and maybe you're in a point in your life where you feel it's time for your next level, and you feel a readiness to break free of conditioning and connect to your heart and share your gifts with the world. This December, I'm doing a very special event. It's designed. I've been doing this event for 12 years. It's been a part of my purpose, and many lives have been changed. It's called Boundless Bliss, the Bali Breakthrough Experience. This December the 5th through the 16th will be the final event that I do in Bali. I've done 21 of these. This will be the 22nd. And so if you're listening to this conversation and you feel inspired in some way, you can go to www.boundlessblissbali.com. That's boundlessblissbali.com. Watch the video, read about the event. I was told when I created this event 12 years ago that there were souls, leaders, visionaries, people that were destined to impact lives and humanity, that when they heard about the event, they would feel an inkling. They would feel a calling in their souls. So if that's you, you can go to the website, boundlessblissbali.com, and find out more. There's an application process, and it would be an honor to serve your journey and evolution. This December the 5th through the 16th. It's the final one. It'll be number 22. Thank you, Jeff, for having me on. It's a real pleasure. It's a real privilege to just be a part of the conversation today.
I love it, Kute. Thank you so much, friends. I've put all of that information in the chat. Make sure you check out kuteblackson.com. You can get to his books from there, his Instagram, and the Bali journey. So, Kute, thank you very much. We wish blessings upon you. Friends, thank you for joining in. And it has been a privilege and an honor to host a Circles Masterclass and a final farewell from me as well. Kute, blessings to you. Thank you all for being here. Good night, everybody.